There was a time when I couldn't write anything down. I didn't learn this specific discipline because I wanted to. It was because I had to. I had no choice. Sometimes pressure, failure, and embarrassing moments have a strange way of training you to become who you are ultimately meant to be. Let me tell you about mine. You think you know, but you have no idea. This is another episode of Late Bloomer Confessions. I believe this is episode 4. Now, let me take you back to when my cousin was still taking me to my studio sessions in the beginning of my tenure as an artist. How we would prepare for sessions. It's a very specific reason that I'm bringing that up. We had beats prepared, whether we created them or whether we have a beat prepared, we would write to the beat. And the majority of the time, we have a notebook. And I eventually started, typing my lyrics. And I remember one session, I typed my lyrics and I printed them out. And I took them to a session and dude was like, damn, this nigga typing his lyrics out, computer nerd. Most of the time, we had notebooks. That was like the original way of writing down your lyrics, right? You got a pen and a pad. And anybody who, had any experience in being a rapper or artist, 9 times out of 10, in that time, if you still wrote down your lyrics, you had notebooks full of lyrics. And that's what happened with me. I had notebooks full of lyrics. So we would go and we would record these sessions and I would, be reading my lyrics off notebooks. Now, fast forward, there was a specific session that happened. There was this other rapper. I can't remember his name. But my cousin, he was engineering his session because that's usually who engineered all my sessions, was my cousin. He was very familiar with how to, navigate Pro Tools or whatever DAW that we were using at the time. And other artists would also hire him to engineer their sessions. And, I was just there to tag along with my cousin. So what my cousin would do sometimes is he would be engineering for an artist and then he would be like, hey, cuz, hop in the booth. And it was sort of like he was forcing me onto this other artist. Usually most of the time the artist would be cool with it because, we had a relationship, outside of the booth. A lot of artists we would kick it with, so me being a feature on one of his songs or her songs, it wasn't really a big deal. With this particular artist though, I didn't know him, he didn't know me. I'm not sure how familiar my cousin was with him, but I'm pretty sure my cousin knew him. But this guy didn't know me. So my cousin, he's like, yeah, right 16, you about to hop on this song, man. Is that cool? You know what I'm saying? I think he asked him after the fact. Now, the dude, I'm sitting next to him, I'm writing my verse, and annoyingly so, while I'm in the zone recording or writing this verse, the artist, he asked me, he's like, hey man, let me hear you spit something real quick. Now, at this time, I had wrote all of my lyrics down, which does not lend itself to memorizing your lyrics. If I didn't have my notebook in front of me to recite my lyrics off of the notebook directly, as though I was in the booth, there was no way for me to recollect these lyrics. So when he asked me, I was annoyed. But then I was like, you know what? All right, cool. I started reciting a recent verse that I wrote. And then after the first 2 lines, I drew a blank. Oh, crap. I'm drawing a blank in front of this artist that my cousin is trying to vouch for me to get on one of his songs. And I'm sitting here, I can't even memorize my rhymes, bro. I got through with the first 2 lines, and then I was like, what I say, and I don't know what happened after that. I was like, Yeah, I can't memorize my verse. I don't know. I still eventually ended up getting on his song, but I didn't really do a good job of selling me, being a feature artist for his song. Now, like I said, I'm annoyed. Like, nobody ever asked me to, like, bro, just shut up and let me write, and then let me get in the booth, and then you can hear what I do after that. You know what I'm saying? Why you want me to? It's kind of like you want me to audition for. You not Eminem, or you not no big name artist. So I was, like I said, I was annoyed. However, the man had the right to ask me to rap. He wants to know, all right, is this dude any good? Like, homie is just about to throw him on my song. I don't know you, bro. You could be trash. And like I said, when he asked me to rap and I'm forgetting my lyrics, I don't memorize my lyrics. He could have easily said, you know what I'm saying? You know what? Nah. But he wasn't going to do it. It wasn't like he was going to tell my cousin, hey, you know what? Hey, nah, I don't want him on my song. You wasn't going to do that because my cousin's engineering your sessions. So it was an embarrassing moment, but it was a moment that never left me, because what it did was it forced me to not ever want to feel that again. So fast forward to years after that, I eventually started writing in my head. I woke up one morning and I was, getting ready for work, on my way to work, and it was just something that, clicked in me, and words just started, coming to me. And I started just writing a rhyme in my head, no notebook, no anything. And I'm putting this rhyme together in my head, and it took me a little bit, but I eventually got to 16 bars. And what that did was it taught me a very valuable lesson, and it helped me to develop a skill, not just writing in my head, but also being able to, if somebody asks me to rap, just off the bat, I can recite those lyrics way easier, because writing a rhyme in your head, it forces you to have to go back and continue to recite the lyrics that you previously wrote. Like, let's say you write one line and then you have to think of another line. Then you go back and recite the first line and then think of something else that goes with it. And then you go back and start, and you're constantly reciting mentally in your head. And that's what helps you to memorize it, and what helps you to mentally recall it on demand. And the reason this was important also was because I eventually started to drive trucks. I got my CDL, got a new career, and I'm driving for sometimes 8 hours, 10 hours a day straight. I don't have the luxury to, while I'm holding the steering wheel, grab a notebook when I have an idea in my head, a lyric in my head, and while I'm driving, write it down. Now, I could have, been reckless with it, but, it really wasn't a feasible thing to be able to say, okay, I'm going to write it when I get somewhere later. No, by the time 8 hours or 10 hours pass, you done forgot everything that you thought in that initial moment. So that is the reason why the skill that I developed beforehand was so important moving forward, because not only was it a skill that allowed me to recite and rap on demand, now it allowed me to write and create without having to have a notebook or a pen and a pad on hand. I can now write anywhere that I'm at. And this is the moment of realization. The lesson in all of this was, sometimes an embarrassing moment or a failure that you experience, it often leads to your evolution. That one moment where that dude annoyingly asked me to rap and I couldn't remember my lyrics, it now forced me to evolve into a person that will never have to experience that ever again, because that wasn't a fun moment. So now, fast forward to now, I have evolved into a much better, much more prepared artist because I failed in that moment. And maybe you are experiencing something similar in your life. What is a certain discipline or a certain skill that you were forced to develop? What is something that, because of an embarrassing moment or a failure that you experience, it pushed you or is currently pushing you to become a better version of yourself? It's kind of like lifting and working out to build muscle. In order for you to build muscle, you have to push yourself to whip that muscle in order for that muscle to have more room to grow. No struggle, no progress. If an opportunity knocked tomorrow, would you be prepared? Have you gone through enough failure or pressure moments in your life that has forced you to evolve to a person that is now ready to move to the next phase? If an opportunity came, you are ready. That's the moment of realization. That's the lesson that I have for today. No matter what you're going through, no matter how many times you failed, no matter how that moment made you feel, that moment exists to push you to become a better version of yourself, because the version that you were before yesterday is not going to be able to move into the path and the new light that you are going to be in, because this is what you were called to do. This is your purpose, to become better than you were yesterday. That was my purpose, and I used that to motivate you. I'm interested. Subscribe, comment below. If you would love to go further with me and become a late bloomer, become the tribe, continue to support me as an artist, I have a link. And for your support, it's a thank you. I have an exclusive EP that I haven't let anybody else hear other than the people that come in and lock in with me and become a late bloomer and support me as an artist. It is my thank you. And this will continue to be exclusive only for my late bloomer tribe. If you're interested in hearing it, click the link. I'll send it right to you. If not, if you just enjoy listening to, these episodes, these confessions, by all means, no pressure, man. You can continue to come in and get the motivation and inspiration that you feel you need to move to the next level. But that's all I have for you today, man. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of those embarrassing moments. Those just might be the moments that you need to evolve into the person that you need to become. That's all I have for you today. Until we meet again, I bid you farewell. God bless. I'm out.